Hello, friends. This week, Katie Jolly and I get real once again on what's going on in our lives. And this week, we go deep on taming the hidden dragons that control your happiness. So grab that notebook and a pen while you sip your coffee or whatever you're doing, because you will want to take some notes. This is a fiery episode, and there are some golden nuggets to help you step forward. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Step Forward with Terry Mullen. If you're new here, welcome. If you have been following along for a while, welcome back, and thank you so much for being here. I'm a mom to 4 adults, a wife of 34 years, a midlife entrepreneur, and your confidence coach who transformed my own doubt into confidence to speak, write my book, start a podcast, and launch my own business. Now I empower other amazing women just like you to do the same. So lean in and learn how to crush that fear, amplify your voice, and build confidence to create your own impact and income. I'm here to encourage you and empower you every step of the way. Let's step forward. Well, hello, Katie Jolly.
Hello, Terry Mullen.
I love this. It's another fun Friday and a real conversation between the two of us and what's going on in our own lives. I just am blessed as I listen back to each recording and edit, get ready to upload them on the podcast. It just brings me such joy because there's such magic that happens here. And I just thank you for showing up, being you, playing kind of full out and sharing your heart and being so vulnerable, because there's good stuff that comes from these conversations. So thank you first and foremost.
Oh, thank you for being here. I love it. It's the highlight of my week.
Yeah, and for me. So before we got on here, we're just sharing kind of what's going on in our own lives, kind of what do we want to talk about today. So I had done a podcast episode. I do my own solo one before I upload our podcast episode. And it was just about daring to be different and really honoring your voice and who you are and not going along with the crowd, which I know you and I both have that in common. So where should we start? Let's just recap a little bit, kind of what's going on in our lives. How about that? I have been listening to Brendon Burchard these last 2 days, and today's actually the last day, just talking about the profession of coaching, being proud of it, how, just going down this rabbit hole of being on social media, kind of going along, doing what the crowd is, trying to be like Instagram famous or, it's just so unhealthy, and it just takes away from what coaching really is. And I just am kind of floating in my happy place right now because it's really ministered to my heart and soul. And I know you and I've had deep conversations about this. And I think so much of it is just staying true to who we really are, right? And what the mission is, what we're trying to do as we do these podcasts, as we're coaching, as we're helping people, as you're helping people with brain health and their health. That's the goal, is to make a difference in people's lives. It's not about just trying to get the likes and the friend requests on social media. So anyway, I am just really excited about what I'm learning from him. So how are you feeling? How are you feeling this week?
Yeah, I think it's interesting just listening to what you're saying, because as I mentioned to you, our uncle passed yesterday. And it was really interesting. I had to clear a client, and we were all round there. And one thing that I've realized working with people, Terry, is that they're real people, real people with real problems and real pain. Yeah. And when we're stepping into the coaching space and wanting to trick and lure and and even being on Facebook and getting these false likes. I mean, someone messaged me who I've got no idea who he is. He's got some random profile picture, and he said, "Oh, who died?" And I thought, I don't even know who this person is. Like, there's no real connection or real relationship there. And I think that from what you're talking about with coaching, we're actually helping to go in and heal those parts of people. It's a real service and a real privilege to be able to do that. It's not just these vanity metrics, tricks and tactics.
Spot on. And I think there's come this diluted part of this industry that's happened, where it's coming from more of a marketing perspective rather
Mm,
than really just showing up and serving people and trying to help people make changes in their lives and help them make
mm,
better decisions and better health decisions, better quality of life decisions, better decisions for their relationships, right?
mm,
So, and you're just spot on.
mm,
They're real people.
mm.
It's not, you know, I think even Scott was just telling me before you and I got on this call that he had woman reach out who he thought was in the investment industry and this reputable firm. And then he was asking her questions. He realized, I think this is a bot. I think this is someone pretending it's not even a real human. And
Wow.
yeah, and doing that through DM, that seems AI generated. So to your point, like as wonderful as AI is in many ways and tools
Mm,
that people can use, there's also that side of it, right?
mm,
And that's a little bit scary. And just like you said, like this person reaching out to you that you don't even know and asking you about your life, your personal life.
mm, And I think that it's a two-way street. I think that what happens with social media especially, and we need to be really careful about falling into this pattern as coaches, is that we present the good side, the shiny
Mm,
side.
mm,
It's like Simon's friend who tried to hang himself in the
yeah.
UK, and you look at his Facebook profile and his Instagram, and everything's shiny, everything's perfect. And you see that with the coaches and the marketing as well, is that, I mean, we're there to actually serve and help people to transform from the pain points.
Yep.
And yet we're presenting the carrot at the end of the journey, you know?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting,
I
Terry.
I fall into that too. And I think even no matter how we try, how hard we try, I have said, and I think I even said this in a post that I did yesterday, that social media, no matter what, Hollywoodizes life. You know,
Mm.
I'm always amazed because living in California, I'm always amazed when people come out to California, like, where, Hollywood. Well, Hollywood itself as a city is not a great place.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Hollywood itself, yeah. And if you think about it, we think of Hollywood where the filming takes place. It's all over. It's all over LA. It's all over the US. It's in other countries.
Yeah.
It's not really a location anymore. And yeah,
Mm.
there's the streets with the stars and on the streets and there's these different places, but it's all over. It's very spread out. And I think it amplifies our life and it makes it look better no matter how hard we try. It just behind the screen, it makes it look Hollywood-like, right?
Mm, mm,
We
mm, mm,
can we can filter, we can put in different backgrounds, we can do all kinds of things. And so it becomes a little bit theatrical.
mm, mm,
And I think that's the downside. That's why I love sitting here talking, having these conversations. People can hear the tone of our voice. They can hear the pain, the joy, the enthusiasm, the sadness. They can hear it all. You can feel it,
mm,
right?
mm,
And this doesn't have a shelf life. This doesn't go away. It's like a library. People can go look for a podcast episode on whatever topic they want and
mm,
find something. So anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but I agree. It's just so different. So I just appreciate you so much because I think what makes you so special and so unique is your ability to be vulnerable. You have really put yourself out there so that people don't feel alone. They know that you coming back from your brain injury, you've been depressed. You were suicidal at one point. I've been there too.
mm,
My eating
mm,
disorder, I think that's what people need to know. They
mm,
need to know that um, we're real people too with real struggles.
mm. Well, I think if there isn't that reality there, and I've seen this with clients as well, Terry, like when we've been setting goals, when they're feeling really good, it's easy to set goals, to
Hmm.
change your lifestyle, for you to, to hold your courses, to work with people when we're feeling really good. But when we're feeling low, how do we carry on in those moments? And I think I don't know when it changed, but people just tend to glib over the hard parts,
Mm.
So what do we do in the hard parts? It was like yesterday I came home from the supermarket and my husband was sitting there white-faced, and he said, "Oh, Pete's died," and that's his uncle.
Mm.
And I sobbed, and then I was like, well, what do we do?
Mm.
What do we do? Because even though we've got our grief, the immediate family have their massive amount of grief as well.
Yeah.
And he said, you just want to be a support. You just want to be a support. You don't need to say anything. But and I think it's the same as coaching and transforming people, is actually knowing that you're there as a support for their journey, but you have to be authentic in that space,
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And also
Yes.
not focusing on the end result, which I think a lot of marketing does. These courses that, make $1 million in a year or lose weight in 30 days. Like, where is the human relationship and human journey in that?
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what's missing in all of that. I totally agree. And that's just a marketing tactic. That's not connecting. What about the person that's trying to get to that goal, but especially something like losing weight, where they have a bad day or someone passes away? They don't feel like doing, what they're supposed to do. When real life
you don't
happens,
want to eat carrots. You want to eat chocolate.
Yeah. And have a glass of wine or something. You know what I mean? Like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't feel so great. And, and even now, your husband just had his surgery, and, these moments when life is hard and it's not perfect and we're disrupted and it's not all smooth sailing. So, yeah.
And knowing that that's actually normal,
Yeah.
I think that that's what social media does, is we're creating this false sense of reality, just like you're saying for Hollywood, right? Everybody thinks that Hollywood is beaches and palm trees and Lamborghinis. Social media is doing the same thing. We just see pictures of people with their family, and they might be looking absolutely perfect.
Right.
And it can really create a sense of dysfunction and lack in all of us. Yeah.
And I think we also get lost in the scroll at looking at other people's lives rather than dealing with our own pain. It becomes an escape and looking at other people's false realities, right? The dealing, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost, and we've talked about this before, just that addiction of feeling that part when we don't feel great. We just get on and do mindless activity, and we look at other people's lives and live kind of vicariously through that versus dealing with our own. And it just becomes more self-isolating, I think,
And it is isolating. And I like with us, we've found this connection on the other, opposite ends of the world. So there's that beauty in it. But I saw yesterday, just seeing all the family round, after Pete's passing, and we hadn't seen some of the family members for a couple of months.
Wow.
So actually being able to get in the room and connect with people, I just think that's what we're lacking, is that connection, which we've spoken about before. It's just an ongoing theme.
Yeah. And I think people need it more than ever. I think I told you, Brendon Burchard said, AI has its purpose. Like, don't be frustrated with it. It's definitely a great tool. But because of it, coaches and people are even more valued, because people need us. They need that connection. They need that support to work through whatever it is they're going through. Right. So
I think even just having somebody listen and be 100% present is such a gift.
Amen.
Because most of the time when we're with people, they're thinking about what they've got going on in their lives,
Yeah.
And people are so busy that very rarely are we present. And that's the gift of a coach. That's how you can build relationship, is actually holding a container for somebody to just be and be heard.
Yeah. Isn't that so true? Yeah, we all need that, just to be heard, feel seen and heard and loved, valued, and reminded that we all belong, It's really, really important. And I think as I was sharing with you before the call, what I love so much what Brendan was saying is it just made me proud to be a coach, whatever
Mm,
capacity, whatever that looks like for all of us, whether we're creating a course or we're doing the one-on-one. He said, just treat it like it's an amazing profession. Treat it like that.
mm,
We've been given this incredible gift to have compassion for other people. That's why we're all doing it. And most of us have arrived at this place because of something we've gone through in our own life. And we want to impart that knowledge or what we've learned, hopefully, and that compassion to someone else to sit, like you said, and
mm,
hold that space and say, I get you. I see you. I've been you. I am you
mm.
some days. I'm still that person some days, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, and that's
And
the
I
other
think
part.
that's what can be missing. I was chatting to a client last week, and she's embarking on her coaching journey. And she said, "Oh, I need to get everything perfect. I need to get, everything bundled up and the program perfect." And I said to her, "Okay, that's great." And coming to the dragons,
Yeah.
that's her dragon of insignificance, of feeling insignificant, that she
Mm,
needs to have it all together before she can serve. And I said to her, "Well, where is the other person in this process?"
yeah.
She said, "What do you
Yeah.
mean?" And I said, "Well, where is their knowledge? Where is their experience?" So
Mm,
if you look at it, you're a facilitator, you're an alchemist for their
mm,
change.
mm,
You are not there to instruct them on what to do because you have done it, and that's what worked to get you out of the hole,
right.
right? Because that's what I've
Right.
seen with my clients, Terry. I've got a certain way of eating, exercising. I'm very militant, but the majority of people are not that.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So being
Yeah.
able to have that authenticity and the openness when we're actually coaching and serving people, that we don't forget that it is a relationship and a partnership. We're
Right.
not just rolling out a program and a series of steps, which, we've been in courses like that before, that you've got a series of steps that you go, you follow this exactly and you're going to make $1 million.
Right. Right. That doesn't allow for any space for humanity, for your
Yeah.
humanness, right?
Yeah,
To
yeah, yeah,
make
yeah, yeah.
mistakes. It just doesn't. And I'm trying to remember what Brendan said about that yesterday. He said, we're not consultants. You know,
Mm,
businesses hire consultants because they have an exact way of doing things and they have employees that get them to certain places. But we are there to be exactly what you're saying, a facilitator, and to
mm,
guide people, to have that compassion, to just help better their lives each step of the
mm.
way. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward and sometimes it's 2 steps back.
And
So you're
when we do that through asking powerful questions, and I do it a lot with my
mm,
children, when they've got a problem, say, I really believe in you. What do you
mm,
think you could do right now?
spot on, Katie Jolly. Exactly. Asking the powerful questions
Yeah.
and giving and asking it back and allowing them to take ownership of it rather than you just telling
Mm,
somebody what to do.
mm.
Yeah, really powerful. So, I just kind of want to dive into the dragons because you had mentioned to me, I'm like, what are we going to talk about today? And so I'm so intrigued because I know a little bit about this with Dr. Amen. So, do you want to share a little bit about this? I don't even know how this kind of came up in our conversations, but you just brought it up, and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about the dragons.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, do you want to share a little bit about what that is and how that can help us as we're talking about this today and what dragons we have in our lives? Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really interesting. So Dr. Amen learned about the dragons from Dr. Sharon May, who's a
Mm,
world-renowned psychologist, and I was listening to the Brain Warriors Way podcast. She's
mm,
actually got a session in there. Really, really interesting lady.
ah,
Incredibly interesting lady. But so Dr. Amen and the Amen clinics have noticed the pattern of these 13 particular dragons, and I'll just go through them for everybody. So we've got the
yeah.
insignificant, the flawed, the anxious, the wounded, the should and shaming, the
Mm,
responsible dragon, which apparently a lot of nurses and doctors have, entitled, angry, judgmental, grief, death, and helpless. Right? So these are the
wow.
dragons. So we've all got one. Some of us have got more than one. And what I've seen, and just in my own journey, relaying it to Dr. Amen's work, is that we may have picked these dragons up from childhood. So they can be beliefs that have come through from our parents. It may be things that have happened to us in our past. So we have these dragons, life events. But what I've actually seen, it's really interesting because the dragons can actually be the thing that holds us back, but it can also be the catalyst to move us forward. Right? So my idea is not taming the dragons, but learning how to ride them.
Ooh, I like that.
I keep on, every time I hear the dragons, I think of how to train your dragon.
Right. That's what comes to my mind. Exactly.
Yeah. So for me, my dragon has always been the insignificant dragon. And it's interesting with you because the insignificant dragon is about not being heard, not being seen, not being valued. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Hello. Wow. Yeah.
So what this does as a driver is that it can actually be a very, very good motivation to be better, improve, So for me, it showed up in constantly studying, and I got my naturopathy, and then I'd be around a group of doctors and I'd think, but I'm not a medical doctor. Or I do a massage qualification and I think, but I'm a trigger point massage therapist, but I'm not a remedial massage therapist. So I need to train more. I need to do more and more and more and more for somebody to actually validate me.
Wow.
And so with the insignificance, we actually have this burning desire for growth all the time, but the growth is actually based from lack.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is really interesting when you actually look at it. And what I reflected on this week was that it's because during my life, I've constantly looked to other people to provide me with that significance.
Same. Yeah, I believe that too. Same for me. This is so good.
Yeah. And then if you look at the other dragons, so you've got, say, the wounded dragon, maybe somebody who has had a lot of trauma in the past. And instead of moving forward from that trauma, the dragon is the story that taints every single interaction.
Wow.
With
any relationship, with a job.
Yeah. Because if you have been hurt before, and I think of my ex-husband, right? When I started, when I divorced him and then I met Simon and we started going out, like my frame of reference was that he was going to treat me the same way as my ex-husband did. Because it's a pattern. The dragon is quite often a pattern that we've inherited along the way. And it clouds our lens for all of our current relationships.
Wow.
And one thing that Dr. Sharon May talked about in the podcast when I was listening yesterday, the question that she asked was, is this true for you now, right in this moment, or was it true in the past?
Wow.
And she said to ask this question when you feel triggered. So if I'm feeling insignificant for any reason, I can go, actually, that was my childhood. That was my childhood when I wasn't heard or I wasn't seen or I wasn't valued. It's not true now. Like for you, it's for both of us on this coaching journey. It's not because people don't like our content or because people don't like us. It's because this is a dragon from our childhood that we haven't learned to ride yet.
Oh, this is so good. Oh, I just love all this. This is just like, this is so good.
It's incredible, isn't it? So interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting. And we've all got one. I had a client that's got 4.
Wow. So question. So can the dragon change? Or do you always have like a one main dragon that's kind of been a part of your life?
Well, I think that, and from listening to Dr. Amen, because he said his dragon is also the insignificant dragon, right?
Wow. Wow.
So it's realizing that that dragon is there and then reframing it to learn how to ride it. So I'm not sure, unless you become fully spiritually enlightened and you're not interacting with any other humans. I think, I think
Yeah.
there's always going to be an element of the dragon being triggered, but
Mm.
understanding the positives. I mean, I know now from learning about the insignificant dragon, that's what's driven me to be so ambitious.
Mm.
Whether it's been in sport or study or anything that I've set out to do, the tenacity has been there because I have been so scared of failure.
Wow. That's just really enlightening and powerful. I mean, I'm thinking of you and I know what you've achieved. And then when you're telling me that this is Dr. Amen's dragon, I'm like, I wonder how many people that have who are high achievers have this insignificant dragon.
Yeah.
Like this,
Yeah.
what
yeah,
drives us? That's just, wow, Katie.
Yeah. Well, you look at yourself, even using the reference of your hairdressing business, right? Being a color specialist, is what was that fuel that you just went out to serve.
Yeah.
Right. And the other dragon, which is really interesting that Dr. Amen brought up, is the responsible dragon. So you feel like you have a responsibility to help others, to serve others. And as I mentioned, a lot of nurses and practitioners or people pleasers,
Mm. Who would those
you
be?
know.
Who would those be? Do you relate to that? Do you relate to
crickets. I'm healing crickets right now. Is that we've got this need to go in and help and go and serve and go and transform. So a lot of coaches are operating in this space as well.
Mm.
We want to heal the world. We want to help. So, but the dragon, if you pair this with the insignificant dragon, is that we really want to serve, but we don't feel good enough.
Mm. Wow.
You know, people may not like what we've got to say, so I'm going to stay quiet.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to help, I really want to serve, but people might not like it. They might not like me. You know, if you look at this on a worldwide scale with the fear of public speaking, so many people have that insignificant dragon.
For sure. Absolutely, for sure. And I think it holds so many people back from a lot of things, really pursuing their own goals and dreams, and for sure showing up and speaking. Wow. Interesting. So I wonder if can it kind of go both ways, where the insignificant dragon is the driver that pushes you to overachieve, and that can also go the other way and push you to underachieve. Could it be both?
Absolutely. And that's the whole idea of these dragons, is that they're a response that happens that really holds us back. I've just found the flip in it. You know, for me mentally, I'm like, oh, okay, that's why I have behaved the way I've behaved, because of this fear. But underneath it all, you know, these dragons stop us from interacting and connecting fully in our authentic self.
Wow.
You know, and how we feel on the inside is such a barrier for connection. It was like when I had to go back into the supermarket yesterday to get some food for the family, and I went back in, and obviously I had this grief inside of me. So the grief dragon, right? And there were people in my way in the supermarket near the hot chickens. There were people in the way, and I got really angry with them. You know, I had less tolerance because I was grieving. I needed to get in and out. And so that's what these dragons do when we look at the judgmental dragon, the helpless dragon, whatever dragon we're riding.
Yeah.
If we are holding on to those feelings inside ourselves, it colors every single human interaction. And it stops us from really connecting with other people because we're so emotional about our own stuff.
Yeah. I had this visual as you're talking, like like you think of the dragon, it's like what causes us to spit the fire. Like,
Yes.
it causes us just to spit the fire, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the heat, like the emotion that comes up inside of us, just like you're feeling this grief. And then the fire comes out, right? Like,
Yeah.
get out of my way. I've got
Yeah. And I mean, the people around me had no idea,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if we think of the anxious dragon, right, we've got a person who is continually anxious, continually scared. When they come up to meet another person, like if we use the supermarket as a general scenario,
Mm-hmm.
that person is going to react against your dragon,
Mm,
not you.
right.
So if you come in with an angry dragon, if you come in with a judgmental dragon, if you come in with the people-pleasing, insignificant dragon, for those of us that are wanting to get clients, like people are reacting with that dragon inside of us. So we really need to learn how to tame them.
Yeah.
So we can have these clean interactions with people.
Yeah. That was going to be my word. So do you tame the dragon? You learn to tame that dragon and ride it. Probably both.
Yeah. So Dr. Amen's got a series of action steps for each type of dragon, and you can actually go online and do a free quiz to see what your dragons are. Yeah.
That's what I was just going to ask you. I wrote that down as we're talking. I was like, ooh, we should post this in the show notes. And there is a test you can take and find out what your dragons are.
Yeah.
And then if people need to do deep work, they need to call you.
Yeah.
Not me. They need to call you and do some deeper work. But yeah, that's super cool. Because I think Scott may have taken this test a while back, my husband. And so when you were talking about this, I was like, oh, this is so good. I love the dragons. And I just couldn't remember all of it. So super insightful. I love this stuff.
Yeah. Because I think that it's realizing that as humans, we all have these emotions. We all have these dragons, and that's normal. But it's understanding that it's a part of us that has developed from our childhood, from our experiences. It's not necessarily us as the person, and it's not us 100% of the time.
Sorry.
I know you.
I think as you're talking, what I was thinking is that it really helps to identify with this other creature or object. It takes away the emotion, and it it makes it not so personal. And we're like, ooh, I'm that dragon. It kind of makes it kind of fun. And you're like, oh, and it helps you identify and connect better.
Yes.
And kind of own who you are rather than you, the person. Because I think that trips us up sometimes,
Yeah. And that's what I found really powerful about the Dr. Amen work is with brain health or the dragons or the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, is that we can understand that this is something that's happening in our brain and we can actually do something to help it.
Yeah.
It was so powerful for me, for my mental health journey, Terry, to be able to go, oh, okay, it's just my brain and the brain can be healed. Oh, this is my insignificant dragon rearing its head again. The fact that I'm just about to sign up for another course,
Yeah.
Because I need to be more and more and more and more. Well, for who?
Oh, that's so good.
Because my family and friends don't care about all the certificates on my wall.
Right.
Right. The clients don't care about all the certificates on my wall.
Right. Have you ever asked? Has anybody ever asked you?
No.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
I think there has been a few people that have said, what have you studied? But most people are surprised. They'll go, oh my God, you know about that too. And I'm like, yeah, I did that qualification about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. But isn't that interesting too? I mean, and I know how much study and work and professional you are. I know what you've done. You don't talk about that much. I know what you've done. But even for people listening in, that we think we have to have all these qualifications and we think that people care. No one really cares. People just want to know that you're another human that's going to help you get from point A to point B and listen to them, walk beside them and have compassion and understanding and just help them kind of come out on the other side of it.
And I think really being able to see somebody is such a gift. It's such a gift to be seen and be heard,
Mm-hmm.
And I always remember years ago, another job that I had, because I had over 42 before I was 28.
Wow. This is why you can show up and say all these things. Hey, I already had a story when.
Yeah. Good
Oh,
old
wow.
ADHD. I mean, I was working as an actress, so I had a lot of part-time jobs, but I did a stint working in the mail as a postie, delivering post, and there were so many people working in that mailroom that had PhDs.
Oh, wow.
And I was in my 20s. I was like, what? You're a doctor and you're shoving mail into holes? So I think that there's this element that, we can get all these certifications, but are we living it? Are we working it? And for those of us that are out there helping people, what really helps? Is it the knowledge that helps, or is it the fact that we're able to sit in a room, whether it's online or in person, and we are there 100% empowering the other human beside us?
Yep. That's the secret sauce right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what head knowledge we have, what degree we have on our wall. In fact, today, as Dean Graziosi said, the knowledge industry, people want to connect with someone that's been through something similar and know that they can get on the other side of it. And that, they're looking for somebody like we've talked about, like just walking along beside them and making that human connection.
Because I always think about offering hope. I always think about the analogy that if my toilet is flooding, right, I don't want somebody to give me a manual, or, I want somebody to come and fix my toilet who knows what they're doing.
Oh, that's so good. Isn't that true? That's a great analogy. It's so true. We want someone that knows how to fix it, don't just hand me a manual.
Yeah.
Wow. So good. And you don't need to call someone that tells you what to do, walk you step by step. Just come show me, walk beside me, help me.
Yeah. And that's why I think that YouTube is so powerful for people. Like, I've fixed so many appliances from just watching YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I know, because our fridge freezer clogged up last year, and I went onto YouTube, looked at a video, learned how to do it, and it's done it 3 other times. And my husband said to me, "Oh, the fridge freezer's clogged up again. Can you do what you did last year?" I'm like,
wow.
Good old YouTube. It's actually empowered me. And that's what our role is as coaches, because we don't want to create this relationship where everybody just needs you, or they just need me in order to find their voice.
Right.
Or for their brain health. We want to empower people. That's the idea.
Right. And give them tools so that they can do it themselves. Just like with you, like YouTube, they can have a YouTube experience and have a tool and remember, oh, I can do this. Right. Oh, that's so good. Oh, it just makes my heart. Every time we have these conversations, like I learn so much about myself, and I learn a lot from you. Like it blesses me so much. And I think this is what's so fun. Not only about, I just am grateful for our friendship. I say this every time, but this is what I love even about coaching, because you have to do the work on yourself, in order to help other people. It's constant personal growth and learning about ourselves and our weaknesses. And wow, just like this, the dragons show up, in a big way. When we become a coach or a course creator or helping other people, I feel like these dragons show up even stronger. And if we're not paying attention to them, we're probably not a great coach, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got to do the work too. We all have them. We're human. And I think that's it's kind of fun. It's kind of a wild ride, but it's kind of fun learning to tame the dragon and ride him, right?
Yeah, because I think the assumption, and again, coming back to what you talked about the media and the marketing industry driving these new coaching courses, is that they're presenting the solutions as though, you get here and you're done. It's really easy to get here. But the human journey is ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's pitfalls and mountains, and that is normal. And stepping into our authenticity is also about going, hey, this is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And I think what happens when you do those courses like that, it just causes you to circle the drain. You just kind of go round and round and round. There's no growth with it because I don't know. I don't feel like you're connecting with yourself. And for me, it was not an authentic experience. I wasn't being true to who I am. That's why I was like, dare to be different. Be who you are. Because when you show up as yourself and the gifts that God has given you and the calling on your life, that's when you make a difference in other people's lives as well. You know, I don't think there's a quick fix for anything. This just isn't who and I know you're this way too. Like I just, I don't do well with like false anything. Like just show up and be real. Show up and be yourself. And anyway, circling back to that, really great point. Yeah. So anything else you want to add? I'm so excited to upload this, and I'll put in the show notes the link for everybody to take the quiz and find out what everybody's dragons are. In fact, I would love it if people would just post their dragons like on our Facebook pages, and I'll put that in the notes too in our Facebook pages. Wouldn't that be fun to see? Like people hear this and then post what their dragon is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. If people feel vulnerable enough to do that.
Yeah, we can bond. We can bond on our dragons.
There you go. Anyway, do you have any golden nuggets you want to drop before we end this call today?
No, I think I'm good, Terry. Just I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you. Yeah. People are going to get fed up with us pouring our love on each other.
No.
Oh, I love you. I love you.
It's so good. Some of my favorite podcasts are, of people that do this where they just have conversations. I learned so much. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your heart and soul and all your wisdom and knowledge. I'm just grateful for it. So thank you. All right, everybody. Have an amazing day. God bless. Thank you so much for listening in and for being here. I hope you have a few key takeaways that you can apply to your life, something that will help you step forward, to be audacious, to be bold and brave, and step forward with those goals that you have. And if you need a little help, I'm here to help you. We can devise a plan that can help you move forward and be confident on camera or behind a microphone and grow your business by being authentically you. I'd love it if you could just take a few moments and leave a review. It's how I know that people are listening in and it's helping someone out there. So at the end of this podcast, just click those 5 stars and leave a review. All right, have an amazing day. God bless. Until we meet again.